Hi everyone, my name is Grace Sipis.
And my name is Coby Allbone.
And we are seniors here at SUNY Brockport. We are in the physical education program and we are working on our concentration in adaptive phys ed. Today we're here to talk to you about wheelchair tennis.
So wheelchair tennis is a very, very fun sport. It can start all the way down at little kiddos and work their way up to the professionals. And it can be played in a tennis court or on a tennis court or right here in a gym or any other type of facilities that you may have at your district or out in the community.
To continue on that, wheelchair tennis is designed for male and female athletes of all ages with physical disabilities such as amputation, limb loss, and a spinal cord injury. But there are other disabilities and other things, and you don't even have to have a disability to play this sport, which is awesome.
Yep, and again, to go off of that, again, I mentioned earlier, but some of the levels that you can see it at the youth, and that can be from 5 to 6 all the way up until right about 18, and then you'll start getting into some collegiate play, whether it's recreational or not, and there also is professional tennis. So let's get into a brief history of wheelchair tennis. All right, so looking into the history of wheelchair tennis, in the 1970s, specifically around 1976, Brad Parks is known as the creator of competitive wheelchair tennis, and he really started to take wheelchair tennis in the sport into a whole new direction. And in 1982, France became the first country in Europe to really start to put different programs into place around the country and make wheelchair tennis a popular sport.
Yes, and then to go off that, talking about the Paralympic side of wheelchair tennis, in 1988, wheelchair tennis became a demonstration event for people to go and try and see if they enjoyed the sport and see if they wanted it to be continued in the Paralympic Games. In 1992, wheelchair tennis, after 15 years of being a demonstration sport, became a main event in the Paralympics. Okay, so what we have right now is some equipment that you may need to play this sport of wheelchair tennis. So right here we actually do have a wheelchair. This is just one type of wheelchair. There are many different types. If you are looking to get a wheelchair or even a sports wheelchair, which they suggest to have during the sport, you can go to a website called Spin Life. They have all information about different wheelchairs that you can purchase and try. But this is the one that we have. Just this standard wheelchair. It has brakes, the front wheels, and then these actually can adjust so you don't have handles next to you. Then we can go on to the back.
Yep, so real quick to touch on the wheelchairs again, these are a little bit cheaper than your sport wheelchairs, and sport wheelchairs can range from anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. So for your program, it may be a little bit better to have these type of wheelchairs, but it is recommended to have the sport wheelchairs. So going into rackets and balls, these are just standard rackets and balls. You can pick them up pretty much anywhere, Walmart, Amazon, Dick's Sporting Goods. And for the rackets, these are adult size rackets, but for kids and students, you may want to use the student size and the youth size where the handles are a little bit smaller, just for better control of the racket. And lastly, the nets and courts. So the nets, most schools will typically have tennis courts, but if not, try and find pickleball nets or any other sort of nets that you may be able to use, badminton nets if they're adjustable to the height. But other than that, there's not a ton of equipment, but what you have, definitely try to use what the best is.
Here pictured are different size rackets that students can use while playing wheelchair tennis, and here's an example of the sports wheelchair we discussed earlier that athletes use.
All right, so now we're going to go into a short video of wheelchair tennis. We're also going to explain a few of the rules and different aspects of the game as we go through the video.
Wheelchair tennis is a technical and tactical sport, very similar to its Olympic counterpart, and is played by athletes in more than 100 countries. The most significant difference to Olympic tennis is the 2-bounce rule, whereby a player can allow the ball to bounce twice and must return it before a third bounce. The second bounce can be inside or outside the court boundaries. Matches are the best of 3 sets. The first player to reach 6 games by a margin of 2 wins the set. As with the able-bodied version, if the set is tied at 5-5, one of the players must win 7-5. If the score is 6-all, a tiebreak is used to decide the set. The wheelchair tennis competition consists of 6 medal events: men's singles, women's singles, men's doubles, women's doubles, quad singles and quad doubles. Players use sports wheelchairs with wheels adapted to allow better balance and mobility. As with all Paralympic sports, classification in wheelchair tennis is based on the principle that an athlete has a medically diagnosed permanent impairment. For wheelchair tennis, this impairment must be physical. Athletes whose impairment affects up to 2 limbs compete in the men's and women's open competitions, and athletes whose impairment affects 3 or more limbs compete in the quad division, which is a mixed gender.
Okay, so some drills that we can do to help our students be comfortable with wheelchair tennis is have them go through some passing drills. So first you can have your students pass against a wall, just have the racket and them sitting in their wheelchair and just being able to rally against the wall, nice and consistently, nice and controlled. And then once they have that, then you can move on to another progression, which that could be working with a partner, being at a close distance or a far distance and just passing back and forth to one another, letting the ball bounce in between. And then you can move on to either a farther distance and then even including the net, so they have to start rallying over the net.
Here is a quick video that provides drills that you can do with your students to help them get comfortable with holding on to the racket.
A few other things that you may need to do for your lesson is universally design this. So hopefully for every lesson you universally design this, but for today you may have a student sit in a normal chair that you may see at a desk and hit the ball back and forth. You also may see a student come up and lock their wheelchair brakes just for better stability and keeping them in line. Some students may like to have their chair loose and able to move, so it's really up to them and what they prefer. And also you can adjust the height and the distance at which they hit at. So if a student's struggling, maybe try to have them hit slow and a little bit closer to the wall, where some students are really advanced, you have them back up and use a little bit more speed and power.
One of the role models that I found to be very inspirational was Dylan Martin Alcott, who was born in December 1990. He is an Australian wheelchair basketballer and also a wheelchair tennis player. Along with that, he has his own radio talk show and is a motivational speaker. Dylan is a member of the Australian men's national wheelchair basketball team, and at the age of 17, he became the youngest roller gold medal winner for wheelchair basketball and is the youngest to compete within the wheelchair basketball competition. In 2014, he returned to wheelchair tennis with the aim of participating in 2016 Rio Paralympics, in which he won the gold medals in men's quads and doubles along with the singles. He was also named 2016 Australian Paralympian of the Year due to his outstanding achievements at Rio.
Another role model in the sport of wheelchair tennis is Jordan Joyce Wiley. She was born June 11, 1992. She is a British wheelchair tennis player, and at age 14, she became Britain's youngest ever national women's singles champion in wheelchair tennis. She has osteogenesis imperfecta, also known as brittle bone disease, as is her father Keith, who was also a Paralympian and won a bronze medal in 1984. As well as the 2015 U.S. Open in wheelchair singles, Wiley has won 9 Grand Slam doubles titles. She has been involved in wheelchair tennis all her life due to her father and is inspiring young women all around the world with her hard work and dedication in athletics and in wheelchair tennis.
As we start to wrap up our video here, we just want to say thank you so much for watching.
We hope you enjoyed the information that we talked about and enjoyed watching our video.
Again, please get all the students in, whether it's in the community or older adults, anybody, please get them involved and please stay safe. Thank you.